We extend a very warm welcome to the second day of the Capacity Building Workshop on the Intangible Cultural Heritage of India and the celebration of the inscription of the Durga Puja in Kolkata on the representative list of ICH Humanity UNESCO. This workshop has been organized by Sangeet Natak Akademi, India's National Academy of Music, Dance and Drama, which is the ICH nodal agency in collaboration with the National Museum Institute and the National Museum, New Delhi. This morning, we begin with a presentation and theoretical discourse entitled Intangible Cultural Heritage of India, Status and Time to Rethink. The case study is of the Northeast, NEMP and Shillong Charter on the community. As a part of the presentation will be a visit to the Northeast Gallery here at the National Museum. The speaker is the eminent museologist, Dr. B Venugopal. Dr. Venugopal has had a distinguished career in the field of museology and administration. He has published extensively on museum education, museum visitors, museum access studies, and intangible heritage. His book, Museum Visitor Studies, is the only book on museum visitors in India. Dr. B Venugopal is the convener of the India Heritage Museum Field School, Kochi. He is also the honorary director of the Center of Intangible Heritage Studies, Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kaladi. Dr. B Venugopal.
Hello, Namaskar. I'm happy to be back to the stage because he opened that. Oh, okay. Because the one thing that I was here at the same area as the registrar at a time, registrar of the National Museum Institute. The students are here only, 2001 to 3. Then later, the second part, I think you, as a student of museology, will know that the oldest museum in Asia Pacific, Indian Museum, completed its 200 years anniversary of its origin, let's say 2014. There, at that time, 2013 to 15, I was a director of the museum. During which period, we have extensively worked on the Northeast. We call it NEMP, Northeast Museum Program, was revived by our museum when I was a director. So I will speak on that one. Then the third one, that is the main thing. I was basically belonging to the environment. I am a scientist basically from the National Museum of Natural History. If you ask me where is NMNH, we call it short NMNH as on today in Delhi, I cannot answer because it was existing some years back in Mandi House. Many people are aware of Mandi House Vicky Auditorium. That 6th floor building was the National Museum of Natural History, which was destroyed in fire. That's a classic example of an institution of national importance which has been destroyed. That is again happened during my period when I was a director. All these are, that gives one idea. Whatever you are talking on heritage, intangible, tangible, etc. If you are not taking precaution of disaster-related things, everything, your 100 years, 200 years of heritage can be just that one. So that is one lesson I learned at the fag end of my career, last year of my retirement. Anyway, after my retirement, just at that time retirement, again, you are talking of ICH, Intangible Cultural Heritage. Can you imagine, is there any academic institution in India specifically on intangible heritage? I don't think so. The only center in India, academic center, in a university setup, exclusively on intangible heritage, is the one called Center for Intangibility Studies. I happen to be the founder in a University of Sanskrit in South India, Kaladi. Kaladi is famous, I think, I don't know whether you are aware. National Philosophy Day is there. It is named after the great philosopher of India, Adi Shankara. He was born in Kaladi. I will tell, I was also born in Kaladi. That happened that way. Anyway, that's the thing. So After retirement, I was fortunate enough to establish the first center, Akademi center. That's all important because when you talk of intangible heritage, etc., in Delhi, many people are not aware of the history of this movement. We started either here or Bhopal or Bhubaneswar, Delhi or Northeast. I hope to explain during my period. It is a story going back to my work. All the work I am going to show based on this one is based on first-hand information. So I may be carried over because I was involved passionately into this one. So let me start with the presentation of the one. Of course, this is yesterday. Yesterday, the left one, and today, the one. This is a summary of my presentation today. I'll be talking on the just introduction and then the international scenario, coming back to a national scenario, and based on the current and last 5 years activities, what we need to have some rethinking on the policy of the government of India as well as the state governments on intangible cultural heritage. And I have modified my slides yesterday after hearing the presentation by the UNESCO director who came here. He has suggested some activities for India, the future of it is at India future goals he has mentioned. So I have modified that one into what we are doing, into fitting into that one, which will give you a roadmap future. Maybe an example of that one. Currently adapted yesterday night only I rearranged my presentation. And finally, the case study will be a few case study, basically on Northeast Museum program, leading to Shillong Charter, followed by the continuation of the Northeast-oriented activities, which is shown here in this current premises of the National Museum. That's a gallery on anthropology or tribal. I'll be helped by my colleagues. Former, you can say, my colleagues I will already, I'm not here as on today, but since I worked earlier, by default, I'll be telling my colleagues, Nazia and other two young ladies are there, because in which I will tell one thing. Nazia Kamal probably is the first PhD in India on intangible heritage. I don't know how many people are aware of this one. She's sitting here as education department, but she probably the first PhD student of intangible heritage, because I can watch, I'm her co-guide from Aligarh University. There is a professor, Asif Naqvi, who was my earlier colleague. He was a guide. And I happen to be, because the topic of intangible heritage with focus mainly on National Museum natural history. So this is just not much, because you will be getting the definition of intangible heritage into it is always. I will just brief it because I will not explain because the concept etc. is well known everywhere. So I just, for my purpose, I have just put it into my knowledge system. This I have shown it because that is the first representative list from India. That happened to be from my place also, Kodiyatam, Sanskrit drama, from Kerala part only. So that's why I put it as that one. And the importance of this one is that one. When in 2003, etc., 2000, the convention of UNESCO came into one. UNESCO published a booklet, a document, with 18 forms of ICH from the world. And the cover picture happened to be of the Kodiyatam. That's, you can imagine, the first time when UNESCO published this convention type of thing and compiled 18 forms from the world, the cover page of the book, I didn't have the copy of now, this one happened to be the Kodiyatam one. I got originally the copy with me, but unluckily for me, I could not get the digital copy for the thing, maybe later stage. So that is important of India in the international scene. There is a large number of names are given to ICH. You can say there's a numerous traditional knowledge, that one, ethnobotany, ethnozoology, folklore, all this folklore. So we can say this one is a type of old wine in new bottle. Earlier, folklore is well known in academic circle. In Indian context, if you ask me, there are departments of folklore. Definitely there are. But is there a department of intangible heritage? I don't think so, other than the center, which we established. So we can say, when you go into that one, we can say a soft old wine. That's in folklore is converted into a new format, intangible heritage in the format of that. You can think of that type of thing. Now, there are so many in the UNESCO. UNESCO is the international body having this heritage business under their control with so many countries. India is an active, and the predecessor of that ICH 2003 convention we can be traced to proclamation of the masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. That is the name given. The first major international instrument was on proclamation of the, it is called masterpieces of the oral and intangible teaching. Initially it came. And at that time I was told the IGNCA was a nodal agency with Dr. Sudha Gopalakrishnan was involved actively in that one, early stage, etc. Later stage 2003. The story goes that Sudha is a friend of us, and she also the first PhD student of Kodiyatam. During the discussion with the UNESCO at that time, when UNESCO was planning to have this 2003 convention, she happened to be in UNESCO office for some other purpose. Then she was asked, Sudha, we are going to have UNESCO convention ka official format. Can you within 1 month give a proposal from India? This I can vouch because she's a friend of mine, and also we used to work, and she has given presentation in Kaladi on this history of this one. So luckily she had a PhD on Kodiyatam. She had very good documentary by the Adur Gopalakrishnan, the famous film director from Kerala again. All these are some aspects which click that. And within 20 days, she was able to get a good quality presentation proposal from India on Kodiyatam, and rest is history. I told you about the cover page, etc. And 2003, when UNESCO converted into a convention type, the preceding oral and masterpieces, etc., was converted into a two formats of 2003 convention. I have written the 2000. Even though convention was there, it in practice it was affected in 2006 because in general body of the UNESCO convention the decision is taken, but it has to be ratified by many countries to become an practice. So it took some 2-3 years, and 2006 only, and finally in 2008, when we call now 2003 convention representative list of ICH, 2008 we write. 8 only actually it became into practice in the list, which continued 2 years, and now it is going on. All these previous one were converted into either two representative list of ICH of humanity or list of ICH in need of urgent safeguarding. But the hype is more on the representative list, not on the other aspects. The politics of intangible heritage is a big business. You must be aware of that one. When you are in the field, definitely you will come to know. Even this selection, I will touch upon, even though it is not right in a government forum, but it's a professional forum of politics of intangible heritage selection. Maybe I will touch upon some of the things at the time. This international recognition given. Now the latest is Durga Puja yesterday. Yesterday there was a issue of Puja of Kolkata or West Bengal or India. That I don't go into details because it was answered yesterday itself. But you can see the Kodiyatam, Vedic chanting, Ramlila, Raman, Mudiatu, Kalbelia, and all these chow dance, all these are showcase outside. So I will not go into it. Only here a politics I will show you. That one. Out of the 14 forms, can you, on the right side, it is written the state wise. Some are beyond the states. You can imagine Kerala backs the Kerala. Politics of selection. I can watch because I am from Kerala. Dr. Sudha happens to be Kerala. All these people, because of the politics of this one, by chance it happened that Kerala got advantage because the people who are involved were Kerala, etc. You can imagine there is no states in South India, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and so many other states are neglected. I'm not telling that one. They don't have that one. So when you select, that will come because methods of selection, the criteria of selection from India going to outside is not based on scientific principles or methodology. I will stop by that one because there are so many things to be talked on that one. Somebody can do PhD on this one, the agenda of the government or non-government agencies for selection of ICH, etc. For a PhD topic, you can work on details on that one. This just to mention that one, there's no representative sample from if India having a vast collection resources. Yesterday the UNESCO person is telling every year we need 1 or 2 from India. Then only even then it cannot be exhausted. So much diversity of culture, heritage, intangible is there. So you must have, when you are developing in the roadmap in future, there must be some systematic pattern of selection with due representation as part of democracy, which I think probably the departments will take care of in future. I hope so. So now I'll come back to the national picture. There are so many agencies involved in that one, and mainly the nodal agency, ministries, Ministry of Culture, that's the Ministry of Culture, and present nodal office is Sangeet Akademi. Earlier, originally the earliest it IGNCA, now it is for the last many years it is SNA, and there are so many other agencies involved: Zonal Cultural Center, Anthropologic Surveys India. Then there are so many museums like the National Museum of Natural History, the National Museum here, and there is a specific museum called IGRMS, National Museum of Mankind. So many things are there, which are all contents are basically on topics related to intangible heritage. But one example of the interdepartmental or interministerial rivalry in the business of ICH is affecting India. Many times you are not aware of. When we project the ICH into world, UNESCO, it is going from India, not from Ministry of Culture or not from Ministry of Tribal Affairs or not from Ministry of Environment, Forest or that one. These are the major departments. But many times, because I was working in the Ministry of Environment, Forest for many years, that is my parent department. Only 4 years, registrar here and Calcutta. 4 years, I was loaned to the Culture Ministry. So I had a problem when I was a director of the National Museum Industry. When we did national festivals on intangible heritage, my seniors, including the secretary, wrote, no, this cannot be allowed. Intangible cultural heritage work cannot be undertaken by the National Museum of Natural History, which is a constituent, a subordinate office of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, because he is an IAS person. He has written that there is already a separate ministry dealing with that. At that time, the bias. So I have to write back, return that one. No, it is India projection, and natural heritage is a strong component part of intangible heritage, which is not being dealt with the Ministry of Culture. That part is the mandate of the Ministry of Environment Forest. Even though there is a lack of coordination, still subject-wise, I'm an academician, I'm a professional. I can understand because I work in both departments. So I wrote continuously, I fought against, and finally that is approved. So what I'm telling that the people in the bureaucratic level may not be able to understand, but the people like you, the students, or the academician sitting here or professional must understand the intricacy of this one and work beyond the boundaries of ministry. Then only all this can be corrected, and India's true picture of democratic aspects of intangible heritage will be showcased to the world, UNESCO, by that one. Failing which, it will be biased to some type of political influence or the ministerial influence type of things. But I can say that one in the same forum because I was part of the ministry of both. Then in states, we take, because even though there's, I don't think there is any criteria, any influence of the department, state level contribution to this one. All central government take a decision on ICH. But ICH is the only convention of UNESCO where thrust is given maximum to the local knowledge system, local primary stakeholders. Primary stakeholders are working panchayat level, which is under the control in democracy. It is all state level institutional administrative things. So definitely there must be type of balance system that approved through procedure of democracy, panchayat, district, state level, a listing has to come, and from there a national list comes and select to the national level. That's the democratically accepted systematic approach has to be there. That's why no state is taking any interest. And because of our influence to the Center for Intangible Heritage Studies, we could manage to convert the only state institution with the label of intangible heritage in its title. This is the one last big one, NCTICH, that is recently established in Kerala, National Center for Tangible and Intangible Cultural Heritage. I think you can correct if you know that one. There's only institution under a state government. It's autonomous institution under the Department of Cultural Affairs of the government of Kerala. There is no other state anywhere in India with a label, I'm telling. Even here in central government, there is no institution with a label of ICH. Sangeet Academy is general, Ministry of Culture. So there is no institute for, hopefully National Museum Institute going to be declared as Indian Institute of Heritage Studies. Will have one section of, like I say, Department of Intangible Culture Study. If that comes, I can say you are taken lead from the Kerala institution, Center for Intangible Trade. That is the first time in India, Akademi institution and state government institution with a label title on that one. That is a recently one for information. I am a board member of this one, etc. So it is through our effort to make democracy a thriving one. There are so many. It is not that ICH is new things now. India having so many things, etc. And even 2003, when convention came, before that, we have been working on this one. The first one, 2002, can be traced to this institution. 2002 is the first Indian involvement officially into a world-level conference in Shanghai, Asia Pacific Region Assembly of International Council of Museum in Shanghai. At that time, I was registered. I was deputed government of India. We presented a paper on the Indian model on intangible heritage. At that time, my designation, it is a NMI designation, was presented to us, and that is accepted at that time in the World Forum as Indian model. I will explain in my presentation on what is that Indian model. Many people are not even aware of what is Indian model, which is published, presented in the World Forum, accepted in 2002, before even the convention came, 2003. Okay, now there are so many umpteen number of conventions from the National Museum of Natural History effort all over India, National Intangible Trade Festival, etc. 2007 Calicut Charter on museums, etc. The topic was on intangible natural heritage. It was directed by the National Museum of Natural History. So we put the time intangible natural heritage and museums. That is the national program. Then 2008, there was an ICOM South Asia workshop in Hyderabad, led by Amareshwar Gala. Then 2015, there are two national level institutions, one for Northeast, Shillong Charter, which probably I'll explain that one, and another one, Azadi Charter, from the Kaladi one. And many of the teachers here, people from, they have attended both Shillong and Kaladi, etc. Here yesterday, because UNESCO, the person was telling in roadmap, community-oriented link, etc. All this has been worked in detail as a focus of different national level workshops on intangible heritage, which have been undertaken, directed by the National Museum of Natural History, majority, except the Shillong one, which has been directed by the Indian Museum Calcutta. This is the international national. That is the national one because it is an Indian model, but it was published, presented in the international forum. This is the Shanghai World Conference in October 2002. So I told you I was deputed from this NMI, Government of India, to present a paper. And you can imagine the number, I will tell you about number 4. During that conference, there were so many people from, that is the largest conference in the world on intangible heritage, anywhere in the world, even today. It was directed by Professor Amareshwar Gala. I think he's an Indian. Now he's in Ahmedabad. He's working. Now, as of today, he's in Manipur or something. He's working, doing a workshop on intangible heritage in Northeast, following up our Shillong workshop. So he's now in the field. I got a call 2 days back. He's Northeast, etc. So what I'm telling that one, at that time, there was a discussion of the different typologies of intangible heritage from the Asian continent, Asia Pacific area. The Chinese and Philippines and Indian model was discussed. The Chinese model was based on recreating an example of intangible heritage from old records of intangible heritage. Earlier records, when you trace it historically, there was some ritualistic things, etc. There's nothing available as of today at that time, but from record, they recreate that one and convert into festivals, etc. That is the example of Chinese model. That is the past one. Philippine model was based on the current. As on today, declaring the endangered forms and making it thrive. Past, present. Indian model was the one futuristic idea. That is the model which I will explain. Based on the international norms of conventional biodiversity. An example which I will show, Adivasi community from India. Their access and beneficiary model was projected as the Indian model on intangible heritage based on discussion in the world, comparing it with the past, present, and future type of things. These are all in the publication available. These are the Shanghai Charter being released by Professor Amareshwar Gala, is the just one behind, and the people. This are the Indian model on intangible heritage is based on an example of a, we call it access and benefit sharing example by a community called Kani, who is from the nearby Western Ghats, some part of Kerala and Karnataka. We have done 2-3 workshops with them, Kani Adivasi, and these are all programs which we have been working from the National Museum of Natural History type of things. You can imagine the Adivasi and these people who discovered. I will explain the next one. What is the content? Then I will come back. I think you are aware of this CBD, Convention of Biodiversity. Convention of Biodiversity is the largest international convention which has got so much power. In fact, America is afraid of this convention. They are not even part. Because Biodiversity Convention shows importance of biodiversity. America and all these other European countries has low density of biodiversity, diversity with culture and diversity. Countries like the South America, the Brazil, India, China, Korea, and Japan, all these are got high density, etc. So the power of diversity, America is afraid. So what I'm telling that, so this convention is so powerful, and you can imagine, there is a protocol called Nagoya Protocol, which is the one major component part of CBD. And that Nagoya Protocol came into existence. You can say Nagoya Protocol and ABS, Access and Benefit Sharing, was adopted on 2010 in Nagoya, in Japan. Whereas, you come back to the last one. One of the example best practices based on access and benefit sharing, that the gist of Nagoya Protocol, is the example from the Adivasi community of Kerala, Kani, that is written, the Kani experience of access and benefit sharing, 1987 to 95. Okay. You can imagine the one which India, the knowledge system related to knowledge system related to that is intangible heritage. You have to accept that. Why it is not being discussed in the forum of culture is that one. It is in the domain of natural heritage. So knowledge related to the medicinal properties of plants by a local community, which has been tapped by scientists of Tropical Botanic Garden Research Institute, a state institute, Science and Technology Institute, tabbed, worked for 10 years to convert the knowledge into a type of pharmaceutical methodology and convert into a product called Jeevani, Ayurveda, or tablet type of electron. It took so much effort and money. And the benefit, copyright, and the type of benefit money given to the original people, scientific institution, 50% has gone to first time to the Adivasi community. So benefit of your knowledge of the local knowledge system of intangible heritage, let's say primary stakeholders, is accepted, taken care of, used for commercial or whatever purpose, and benefit is shared. So ABS, that is access and benefit sharing. That example, 1987 to 95, was the forerunner of the World Nagoya Protocol, which is one of the component part of Convention on Biodiversity, which is one of the strongest UN convention. You can imagine what I'm telling that one. The largest India has got the potential. India, the intangible heritage background, have got the most deadliest, powerful weapon, even to America, whatever. That is there. But these are never discussed in the forum of ICH in India, because same one, interdepartmental gap. This is in the Ministry of Environment Forest or Tribal Department. That is because we have been working on this one. And I have got MOU with them to arrange programs. So we have been arranging so many programs. And they got the first UNDP Equator Award for the innovations and traditional knowledge in the world, first one. And that is the first example from third world country also on this type of things. So we have got so many things in the world to contribute, which I am suggesting that all this one, even though it's a Purana Ogaya, it has affected world, has to be included in the formally in the ICH domain or the discussions of SNA and Ministry of Culture, so that one is projected in the world as India's one. Okay, then just I will go back to the one. This is the workshops which we did it with the original people who discovered the Mallan Kani on the left side, 2 people. They were given the international prize in the I think 2000. 12 World Conference, South Africa, Earth Congress. That's one. And the scientist, Dr. Pushpangadan, who was the director of the National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow, who later became the director of the TBGRA, Tropical Botanical Research Institution. Both were the one who decided. This is the original photo, the left side in paper. And the same one, which I did a conference, the same people in a later stage, in the same area. Which one? With that one. And Dr. Sudha Gopalakrishnan and other people who were involved earlier in the Ministry of Culture. All the people were brought. And the top person left happened to be the earlier joint secretary of this one, handling intangible heritage in National Museum, National Museum Institute, Jayakumar, Dr. Jayakumar, who became later Chief Secretary of Kerala and retired, and the first Vice Chancellor of the Malayalam University. He happened to direct all the program when he was the Vice Chancellor of the NMI here for some time, and acting as Joint Secretary in charge of all activities of ICH in India at that time. He was at that time Trivandrum, so he invited all these people. So we could invite the earlier people and the modern people who are involved in this type of business. Now, Calicut Charter is the one which we did it in 2007. That is also another landmark because it highlighted the importance of intangible Indian model, as well as it highlighted, I have given that one, all this related. Hortus Malabaricus, that is probably the oldest documentation of intangible heritage in the Asian context. That is 1678 to 1693 documentation of the knowledge system of the traditional Vaidya type of things or the traditional medicinal practices by people, local people in the Malabar part, that is Kerala part, by the Dutch people, compiled. It took 20 years of compilation by the Dutch people, local people, Malayalam, Arabic, and the first printed version of Malayalam in different scripts, and Arabic Malayalam, and so many things. So that is the first in Asia documentation, first systematic scientific documentation of the traditional knowledge system existing in Asia. We cannot avoid this one. These are all documented properly, which never happens to be part of the discussions on ICH in the Culture Ministry. That is I'm telling. That's all. Highlight. And another one on the recommendation that the people biodiversity register. Yesterday there was so much discussion on that one in Ageka roadmap. Maybe we must have so many things, etc. But that one discussion UNESCO has done. There is already a system of in democracy. There is a system of panchayat level, state level, national level. When you select the ICH UNESCO, it is current practices. Central government select, pick and choose based on their interest. But in a democratic system, you must give a very systematic approach of local level, panchayat type of thing. There is a system of documentation of knowledge system, which we call it PBR, People Biodiversity Register. In every panchayat, the knowledge system related to biodiversity is registered, documented by the students like you and the people there, and put as a register kept in the panchayat. And if somebody want to use the knowledge system, they have to pay for that one. So we have tried with the Kani Samudaya group only to have a system called PIHR, People's Intangible Heritage Register. If you do this systematically, so India with so many panchayats will have slowly a system of documentation of their intangible heritage, and that will help the state government every year to declare in the state list, and finally to national list, and finally to UNESCO. That system is already existing. We have to just tap it. That's all. This, we have been doing this type of work. So highlighting the importance of already available things. Then Shillong Charter I will tell at the end, because that is on Northeast activities I will tell. Then Kaladi Charter, this is again the one which in 2015 only, I think some of the, I think Nasi, etc., you attended. Some of the people attended from here. At that time, active students of intangible heritage and museum students attended the Kaladi workshop arranged in 2015 when I was in Delhi itself, we directed. This helped the university start the first center. I told you initially, the first center in India on Academy Center, Intangible CAH, Center for Intangible Studies, started in Kaladi. That is because of this orientation to Kaladi. Another thing is that Kaladi institution is the only center in India, again, having 3 forms of ICH. Can you imagine? Now we have got 14 only. In a university area, 3 topics are being taught. Can you imagine that one? Kaladi, the university which we found this one. Kodiyatam, Vedic chanting, and Mudiyattu. All the 3 World Heritage forms in ICH is being taught in the university before we started this one. So already still going on. So there are institutions. Yesterday there was another thing that you must have ICH oriented training program, educational program already is existing. We have to just compile this in. That's all. This is basically the topic was on community engagement safeguarding. That is the topic yesterday. India's roadmap for next 4 years of India's is that community engagement is already being worked out in an entirely different format, panchayat level format involving Mudiatu as a case study. In museums, this is the probably again first gallery on intangible heritage in India, but unluckily it is not here. It was in the National Museum of Natural History, 4th floor building, which was destroyed. Some of the people at that time, before 2016, who happened to go to National Museum of Natural History in the 4th floor at that time, that is the first gallery on intangible heritage open at that time. So for my record, I have put it, and for a PhD thesis, you will get the details of this one. Of course, yesterday, Manvi Setu was explaining that just 2 days back, the Prague ICON conference has taken a decision to modify the definition. Earlier, 2007, in Vienna also, intangible heritage is already included in the definition of museums. So museums are authorized, we can say, stakeholders in the business of ICH. The latest definition, and there is not much difference as far as we are concerned with intangible heritage because already entered into that one. Now, when you come to again role of museums, we are all students of museology. A huge list from the National Museum of Natural History from 2002 onwards. I have told you 2002 onwards. Up to the time I retired in 2016. Series of programs, national level program. You can imagine 2002, the first one at that time. This is the only one I don't have any hand in that. Rest of all this, let's say 19, I directly. The first one happened to be at that time I was in NMI. Happened to be my people that NMI staff working in Arunachal Pradesh. Rest onwards, starting with 2002 also, it was from the NMI when I was a registrar, etc. Rest, we can say, 2007 onwards, the continuous program has been directed by us based on the inspiration which we did it all over India, with starting regional centers in Mysore, Bhopal, Bhubaneswar, Rajasthan, Savai Madhopur, and latest coming up in the Northeast. You can imagine. The one thing why I highlighted is that if you want to continue with the business of intangible heritage all over India, because intangible heritage is not restricted to Delhi or Northeast, no. There are each and every state has got role to play. So you must have a national type of procedure. And every year, possibly SNA being the nodal agency, must have some type of national festivals of intangible heritage. Different, let's say, in different regions of India. This year it will be in, let's say, in Delhi, northern area, region. Maybe next year it can be in the eastern sector, northeast sector, western sector, south sector. That type of thing must rotate into. And we have already started the business. You can imagine. 2007 we did in Calicut. 2000 again 11 we did in Kaladi. Then 2013 we did a workshop on intangible heritage of desert in Jaisalmer. Then of course Shillong. Then again Kaladi was repeated because of the personal things. I belong to Kaladi, all this stone, and Kaladi has got the base of 3 intangible heritage UNESCO forms there. So every institutional mechanism was ready to arrange type of things, etc. And now the last one, before I retired, the maximum largest meeting. Many of the people has attended Amaravati conference hosted by Amareswar Gala, but it is arranged by us. So National Intangible Heritage Festival is the thing. Every year, maybe we can say, if there are film festival, etc., Goa film, they fix a time. So we can say maybe a November, the World Heritage Week is there, November 19 to 25. Some of the 4 or 5 days can be fixed by the Ministry of Culture and arrange type of National Intangible Heritage Festival by themselves with the help of the local government. If it can run, then like your museum people, Museum Association of India conference are there. We next year we wait. Next year this conference is going to be in such and such area. So we'll prepare for the theme and type of thing. So that must be the passion for academic input. Hopefully it will work. But we have done our work earlier for the knowledge of the students. Now, based on the discussions, and there are so many I told you. I have just hinted a few. I will just mention some more things. The title itself, ICH, is a misnomer. For the last 20 years, we have been telling the Ministry of Culture. I told you my example earlier. Intangible, UNESCO 2003, they call it ICH. That's a mistake, they did it, and we follow it. There was no discussion, but from the Ministry of Environment Forest, we have got stakes at the time. The Environment Ministry told that, no, this type of access and benefit sharing, international things, etc., is being done in India. That never goes out of India as representative sample, because a rivalry between Ministry of Culture and Environment is there. That cannot work out. So in that case, and you say the charters of UNESCO, 1972 charter, convention of that, it is very clearly mentioned cultural and natural heritage. Cultural and natural heritage has got equal importance when heritage is concerned. Whereas the 2003 convention, you see, intangible cultural heritage, where this natural heritage, where intangible natural heritage component is gone. Very strange. So UNESCO has gone back on giving equal importance, and India claims that we are part of the nature culture on equal importance. We claim that our parents, we work together. Indian ethos are based on the principles of working very good relationship with the nature and culture. UNESCO. So anyway, we are not blaming each other, but the National Museum of Natural History and the people concerned with the Environment Ministry has put a note from that onwards into ICH is not the correct term. It is the IH. Intangible heritage, like the 1972 convention, heritage, which is divided into two groups: heritage, natural, heritage, cultural. So intangible heritage, it is not ICH. It is a, let's say, one coin, intangible heritage. Two sides. One side is intangible cultural heritage, another side is intangible natural heritage. So you give equal importance to both culture and nature, which is already accepted by ECOMOS also, and the emblem of World Heritage. Everything is there. But 2003, even though that is a good convention, the title give a wrong information, which we follow continuously even now. What we suggested from the National Museum of Natural History continuously for the last many years is that one, same one. IH, it is ICH is not correct. It is IH, intangible heritage, equal to ICH and INH. And if you take the 5 domains as suggested by UNESCO, the first domain is OTE, oral traditions and expressions, including language. Second is performing arts. Third is social practice, rituals and festive events. Fourth one is knowledge related to nature and the universe. And that one. You see the stage of that one. If you take the first, second, and third, it's all highly qualitative and aesthetic oriented. So that can be considered as representing ICH. We agree. ICH equal to domain number 1, 2, 3. Then the fourth and fifth has got some quantitative elements, science and science of zoology, botany, geology, physics. All these things are involved about knowledge related to nature and universe. That is environment, basically environment things, nature type of things. So that is, and the last one is a mixture of so many things. Where traditional craftsmanship, then your skill, knowledge based on some working with scientific principles, etc., and taking the nature-oriented resources, natural resources, that is important for working on the craftsmanship. So the fourth and fifth domain can be combined into intangible natural heritage, or as an additional thing, you can say 1 to 3 can be ICH. Fourth can be INH, intangible natural heritage, and fifth can be a separate one, because the most important link between natural, intangible and tangible is the traditional craftsmanship. From the original tangible heritage, later to intangible heritage, if you put the sequence, it should be the other way. Normally, tangible heritage by the Archaeological Survey of India. Then comes the fifth one, traditional craftsmanship, which has got elements of tangible and intangible heritage, and scientific principles and resource management. To some level, even the fourth one, and it goes. So it must be the other way of intangible heritage divided into ICH, intangible cultural heritage, plus INH. So that has been, this has been put up in many different forums of discussion in the ministry, etc. But officially, it has not come to the. You people are not even aware of this happening. What is happening? This is happening continuously in the ICOM movement from 2002 onwards of the Shanghai conference. This has been continuously in record. All this type of thing. but we are not able to absorb. The students of museology here, who may be member of ICOM or not, are not able to digest it because you are not being taught or exposed to this type of thing, because there is less academic discussion on intangible heritage in Indian universities, academia or something. That is it. Maybe the students who are motivated here in National Museum Institute will be able to correct by linking with Institute for Ecology and the Northeast, Tezpur University, etc., or IGR of the Bhopal, etc., who are practitioners of this type of things. Another terminology which is already in the limelight is biocultural diversity, which is an international form, basically applied to Adivasi type of community, the community related knowledge system with respect to tribal situation. There the BCD, biocultural diversity. There it is almost the same. If the term is biocultural diversity only, it gives the diversity, recognize the diversity, biological, cultural, linguistic diversity. In ICH, linguistic is not just mentioned, oral traditions and expressions, all that one, just touching only. It is not. Here the importance is given to linguistic diversity because they call it language is the fundamental marker of cultural identity and tool for transmission of culture. So language is important fact. So ICH is only one as it has been modified with respect to this one, and we are working with the Adivasi community, the Kani. I have already told another community, which is PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal community in Kerala. Cadre, we are working now. We have got a project on documentation of the intangible heritage of the Cadre community. I'm a guide for that. A student got a Tata fellowship recently, Samvad fellowship, working on that one. Now, another thing, definitely I told you starting it's a disaster. When disaster come, like COVID, etc., for the last 2-3 years, you could not even meet your. I had a problem. I had done, I told you, arrange online courses for the university. So we never knew that one. Even the MA first year batch, when we started, COVID started, MA Museology, you're all students of Museology. So first year students, when it started, we started with a online interview selection, and even classes for 1 year whole was on online mode. And the second year only, we are coming to know the students are here offline type of thing. And the whole situation of heritage has been gone wiped out in Kerala example, because I gave the example of all presentation based on my personal experience. 2018 flood situation has wiped out all heritage aspects. So we have been working on the traditional knowledge system, how it is reconciling, resilient type of thing. We have been working, and these are example. 2018, when there was a flood, national type of flood, which affected Kerala, all completely, all my area, my university flooded up to first floor, total first floor, there was complete water, etc. And the whole area of Mussoorie Heritage Project area, the largest heritage project in India is in Cochin, our area. That's all completely flooded. We brought in the people of ICOMOS and ICROM. You can imagine, first aid risk reduction for cultural heritage. That is international level projects. We were able to bring these people, and we did work continuously on the how the local community, especially the tribal, not tribal people, the handloom oriented people working in that sector, has been reconciling and resilient. And that study, 2-year study, has led us to give a new term. You must understand, this is published in the ICOMOS webinar, resilient heritage, which we call it resitage. There's a new term for the students, for other academicians involved. Resitage is a new terminology coined by us on the resilient capacity heritage. It is a short form for resilient heritage, based on the case study of the resilient example of the traditional handloom community, which has been which were affected by the disaster of flood. Dr. Jigyasu, all these are available here. And I was telling, I forgot the name of the student who is ICROM, deputed family. I forgot. She is the first batch student of MA conservation of this NMI. I forgot her name. She's from Jammu and Kashmir. Anybody can remember her name? ICROM officer. who was student in the first batch, I think first batch of NMA in conservation, MA conservation, from this only. Later she became internationally recognized expert on disaster management. She is a regular staff of ICROM. Do you have any idea of her name? What? No, no. Working in Italy, ICROM. I just forgot my old age. I will get her name, etc. Anyway, because of connection with NMA, I was a registrar. I talked to her. Yeah, madam, you are NMA old student, alumni. Internationally, you go to Nepal tragedy, all this one. Why don't you come here? Immediately within 1 week, the team of ICROM and Rohit Jigyasu happened to be from Chandigarh, this area, world vice chairman of ICOMOS. We did 3 months back of this world disaster international conference in Musiri Heritage, which is directed by us only. And immediately, because he came to know, he knew about the local area, all these ICOMOS and ICROM, world-oriented institutions, before the government came into picture, we brought these people and we worked on the strategy, and 2 years and the term of recitage come to know. So as a student, you must come to know, you must understand this type of thing happening in the museology field and conservation field. It is not that what is not in Delhi is not considered for your syllabus. No, you must go out of this one, because your projects are being done in Ladakh. So similarly, there are other areas in India of examples for your PhD, etc. You must take it up, so that India as a whole is represented in the ICH business. These are component parts of recitage. This is the Aramula mirror work. I think probably the conservation people will be knowing the metal mirror. One is projected. We call it from Aramula. It has got a GA tag also. When Prime Minister goes out, he gives gift, and one of the items of regular gift is the Aramula mirror. It's a metallic mirror. The group is working on that one. Their whole area was inundated with water during that period. So they are just recovering only. We have been doing work on that one. Some of the students of maybe when you got a field study classes, you must come to Kerala for this type of activities of seeing museums in working and conservation people on that one. Then the latest one. This is the latest in my bag of intangible heritage. Just 15th August was 75th anniversary. 76th Independence Day, but 75th anniversary year. Freedom for? Is it for all? Heritage for all? No. You can imagine this student, a wheelchair-bound person. We used to arrange heritage walk involving intangible heritage, oral traditions, etc., stories of Kochi and all this type of thing with the old community oriented. Yesterday, that lady, volunteer, old ladies, the stories you will be telling on the one. We arrange every Sunday, we arrange. Today, in the morning, my group has gone to that one. So every Sunday, we have got heritage tales being done. So at that time, there was some question that, no, you are all doing this one for whom? Able-bodied, with money wala, paisa wala kar rahe nahi. Hamara bhi kafi log sitting there, bound into a cubicle. Now work to home, that type of thing. Now we are bound to work throughout, live in my home because I am a person with a disability. That idea in some of the heritage walk, one parent told us, you must open it for people with a disability, so that will be an occasion. So heritage walk, oral traditions, and so intangible heritage. Now we are started with the called F for all, freedom for all. On August 15th, we started a project of making it intangible heritage and heritage through our heritage work, stories, etc., involving. And that left one down is a classic example of a person with a disability, mobility, leading a group of heritage work in Kochi, Fort Kochi. Fort Kochi is going to be international because now the Kochi Binale, the largest art event, is going to be started in December 12th. 12. It started in 12. Now, after 2-3 years, now it is being revived. That area, if you come there, you may come for this type of heritage, both tangible and intangible, being accessed through the project. So this is the latest. So whenever you do in city-oriented work on intangible heritage, there must be some time, because Delhi heritage work, so many things are there. Your visit to the museum, it's also sometimes stories. But then accessibility-oriented things, normally we don't consider. Please do consider. We at least started it. from our things. I'm requesting National Museum education people sitting here and other people who are doing visit to the museum galleries and heritage walks in and around. When you tell this one stories, etc., include as a policy wise a project on IH accessible, under which without spending much money you can rearrange it. The last one, the latest one, as on today, there is in the Noida, Greater Noida, there is an international expo going on. I don't know, many people are from Noida. There is GI, it is called India GI Fair. Today is the last day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. That's the first time Government of India has taken a decision to make international type of expo involving intangible heritage. Can you imagine? GI means geographic indication. Geographic indication is a example of sustaining effort or safeguarding effort of ICH. 2003 Convention on the Safeguarding of the Intangible Heritage. Safeguarding efforts are, there are so many methods. Documentation, inventarization, so many things. GI, giving recognition to the local knowledge system. Just like I mentioned the Aramula mirror work. Aramula is the local, that one. Just like you can imagine yesterday, Calcutta Puja. Calcutta Rasgulla, there was a controversy of giving to Orissa to this one, etc. So, local knowledge system or product of agriculture or craftsmanship. Why I'm linking to GI is that one. Geographic indication normally gives credit to, with a name I told you, that I think from Northeast, Darjeeling, Apple, all this got. Name is prefix and the item. It can be agricultural product or anything. But there is a category, second category, traditional craftsmanship. Just like Aramula, mirror work is based on craftsmanship. Those craftsmanship means, traditional craftsmanship is a domain number 5 of ICH, of UNESCO. So that's a very clear example of IH. As far as I am country is IH. Fifth domain is traditional craftsmanship. GI has got 50% craftsmanship, 50% agriculture products. Okay. So still craftsmanship is included. So GA intangible heritage, GA tag items which has got under the umbrella of craftsmanship is showcased. One part is that one. Why I'm telling that one? The first national workshop on GI intangible heritage was just arranged by us as a heritage field school for students like you. 10 days workshop we are done in Kerala just 2 months back. First time linking GI tag with intangible heritage open to students by my institution, that one, for a 10 days heritage field school and with a huge exhibition, etc. So that exhibition related one is going on here right now in Great Noida. Today up to 6 o'clock it is available. So that gives a recognition to intangible heritage in another context from Government of India, which is never told or discussed in the forum of ICH anywhere in Indian context. But that's a good potential for people in Delhi to do it. That's fair. Now, this is based on yesterday's observation by the UNESCO person who was here, who mentioned that one. India is now part of the next 4 years. India is part of that one. They mentioned India's goal has started during the 9th General Assembly. We have given an example of 4 or 5. Same one I have calculated into this one. One is community participation, second is academic research, third is aligning ICH with the SDG, and fourth is international cooperation. This is the roadmap as agreed by UNESCO. Yesterday it was told. So taking cue from that one, immediately I jumped and took that photo of that one yesterday one and converted into my slides on what we have been doing in the column 2. Community participation, I already meant. Azadi Charter, the main thing is community participation based on the Mudi, already done in 2015. A detailed project is done all on the UNESCO, ICH. The Mudi is a performing art, ritualistic art. We have been doing that work already on this one. That's already case studies are available to showcase. Now take the classic example second. Academic research. I already mentioned 2016, the first center, university center, was established by us in Kaladi. That is it. And SSUS means Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit. CIHS means Center for Intangible Trade Studies. This is a center which I established. I worked for 5 years. And we arranged CPH, Certificate Program on Intangible Trade. That's the first time, and officially universities. IGNC is doing some PG diploma course literally, but I don't know whether it is affiliated to university system. I don't have any idea, but you can correct me. But anyway, in a university system, directly by the university, this is the course available. And in another government college, again first time, I think one student is here, my student, CPIS, Certificate Program on Intangible Trade Tourism. It is Zainab Fatima, is a researcher associate with the NMI. I think she's here, not here. Okay, she's a student online. During the COVID period, we did a 6 months course on Certificate Program on Intangible Trade Studies. We have got 50 students, 4 or 5 from Germany, because it was online. It was completed in the government college. I happen to be the coordinator of that one. So what I'm telling, then I have already mentioned the state government National Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage. They are working on Teyyam and Kalaripayattu. And another one, ICH and UNSDG. Again, there is a work. I have just scanned through that one. I just go through already the community participation, which is one of the roadmaps. Academy research in ICH is a university system. These are the different activities of the university. The third one, intangibility linked to sustainable development goal. Yesterday, there was huge discussion on this one. Already in 2019, there was a world competition on ICH and SDG. I put a proposal on the studies on SDG number 2 on zero food type of things. That study is published in the UNESCO. That is based on the intangible cultural heritage linked with SDG. My example was based on a type of agricultural resilient agricultural system and the intangible heritage that is published. Number you can check up the number chapter number 6, study of an indigenous method of agricultural practice called Pokali in India. Center for Intangible, B Venugopal. This is the chapter which we did it as part of the SDGIH, a competition through UNESCO organized. So project is there and this is an exhibition and museum we are developing based on that one. So what I'm telling that already the goal suggested by yesterday by UNESCO and agreed upon by India. A small person like us is already done the work. I not only completed, at least attempted with the international publications. How many people are sitting here, ICH business or students are aware of this one? It's all in international UNESCO publication. I must not comment much on that one because my idea is to open up you to the avenues available in India, not necessarily in Delhi, on this vast knowledge system available about intangible heritage in Indian context. Now, finally, I'm coming to the suggestion. There are a large number of suggestions. Management issues, like I told you, there is no SNA is the only nodal agency, but the structure of SNA for ICH, I must very frank that it is not up to standard. In that there is no full-time regular staff officer for that type of things. Earlier it was there. I think there was some. Anyway, I cannot comment much on other than just mentioning that methodology. I already mentioned there must be type of annual listing. Now national list is there, but it is not based on the law, democracy principle from the panchayat or a state level. That is already there. You must to compile it. This one. Third one is safeguarding documentation. There is already a panchayat-oriented system, which is part of the democracy. The lowest category of panchayat system, a democracy is already available, documenting people biodiversity register approved by Government of India. It is all. And fourth one is education training, university department. In the AICTE, in the IKS, Indian Knowledge System, they have got centers of excellence. Why don't this Government of India, SNA or something, they establish centers of excellence on intangibility in different parts, selecting one from each state, and you can work off as nodal agency. And training, I told you, I need not work book already. There are umpteen number of workshop and training program going on by National Museum of Natural History and so many other agencies. Here also NMA also, and it must be distributed among all the states and arranging exhibitions and melas, that type of things, etc. That's all normal. This is the example which we did it. People biodiversity register linked to intangible heritage in the Kani Samudaya, Kani community in Kerala, which has got, I told you, UNESCO oriented access and benefit sharing activities. Now, I'll just hinge on slightly, not much on that because the time limit is there. Northeast I will introduce. Later I will finish and continue with the break. Northeast. The major museum, there are so many number of museums. I will come to the Indian Museum. Indian Museum was the major nodal museum for Northeast area. Let us say that is part 2. My intervention through NMNH, National Museum of Natural History. I already mentioned the list of activities starting with 2002, starting with the some community or hornbill type of thing, recreating artificial hornbill. That I will the next one. This left is the National Museum of Natural History as establishing a separate regional museum of natural history in Sikkim, Marchak area. Unluckily, in some of the brochure here written, Northeast means 7 states only. As far as I am concerned, and government of Jharkhand, it's 8 states. You must note. In some other records are written 7 states only. That is a scientifically and actually correct, which must be immediately corrected. Otherwise, somebody can question his constitutional obligations. We are establishing a Northeast museum, specifically a regional museum for natural history. It's already ready. The land was taken by me at that time, some years back. Now it's almost ready, and hopefully this year or next year they are going to National Museum of Natural History under Ministry of Environment and Forest, specifically on natural aspects of that. And you can imagine before starting this Marchak, Gangtok Oriental Museum, there is a museum, Northeastern region in Bhubaneswar. So we used to arrange our activities on that. There's a gallery on Northeast oriented natural heritage in our Bhubaneswar center at that time we established during the period. And these are the activities which from the NMNH. This is one of the earliest example of a museum intervention. 2002, we collaborated with the local community, Nyasi Indigenous Faith and Cultural Society in Andhra Pradesh. This is the first example from Indian context, as well as I can imagine, of the intervention of a museum. There are hornbills used to be collected for their colorful feathers, etc. Our museum intervened with some of the things, local communities. That our natural history museum has got very good thing. People like modeling people, making fiberglass. So they exactly recreated the hornbill, the bill, an artificial one, fiberglass with the color. Exactly it is. So that is given, and that has helped initially to reduce destruction of the hornbills. So intervention of a museum helping the local community with alternate methods has been found successful. That is one of the classic example, because Northeast we are going to tell, and many of the people are Northeast oriented. Galleries are there. This may not be represented in your itinerary. So please try to include. That is the earliest intervention from a museum point of view. Positive one. Negative thing is colonial hangover of showing Northeast as exhibit museum pieces, which is now questioned always. The last 2 slides only. Northeast Museum. Now I'm coming to Indian Museum, which is generally considered as the oldest museum in Asia, that is given charge as nodal museum for developing Northeast oriented. All state museums, state government museums were developed with the help of National Indian Museum Calcutta before I came to the scene. When I came to the scene, the stage is very unfortunate. There was some CBI inquiry going on against the director of Indian Museum Calcutta for misappropriation of fund related to Northeast. When you develop a museum infrastructure, crores of budget is involved. I cannot comment because I came to the seat. That is the stage. CBI inquiry, one room is locked in my chamber fully. I could not even open it. Then I came to Northeast. So much crore has been spent, unaccounted money and so many. So I thought, okay, that does not mean that Northeast is neglected in future during my period. No, I don't agree with it. So what I did is, the earlier one is on tangible, construction of buildings, where so much crores of money is involved. I don't know, no problem. Intangible does not have much money involved. Arranging people with the community people, arranging workshop type of thing, does not need much money. So I did business of why don't we start the reviving Northeast Museum program into intangible format. I mean, arranging program, bringing initially in Calcutta by arranging with ICOMOS and Intact people, because they have got strong office in Calcutta, and bringing almost all the government representatives represented in Calcutta. Most of the Northeast state government has got some offices in that one. We brought it and discussed. Based on that, we did come. This is the discussion with the director of the Don Bosco Center one, myself on that, and Ananya Bhattacharya. She is in the executive board of ICOMOS and the Intangible Text, and the launch of this one. in Calcutta. This was launched in Calcutta and followed by the huge workshop, which we directed by Dr. Amreshwar Gala, coordinated by us only in Shillong with the help of the Don Bosco Museum, which resulted in the Shillong Charter. That is a showcase. And the last part is Shillong Charter. This is the Shillong Charter, which is available in UNESCO website or Amreshwar Gala's website. This is the one which gives a base to all what we call it, all activities, a guidelines internationally reputed, screened, directed, work very nicely with all the international principles, giving a base roadmap to Northeast, published in 2015. So Shillong Charter is considered, if you are not aware, definitely you must be aware. Without this one, it is not professionally good to go ahead. If something is good in the previous thing, even if bad, as a historian or student, you must understand that that still stand, because it is directed by the one of the best known ICH practitioner in the world, who happened to be an Indian. That's Amreshwar Gala, funded by Indian Museum at that time. So what until I got a stake, because I did initiate the project, funded, went after the way, and requested Gala to coordinate it that time. So this is one of the things for anybody in museum in India or anywhere in the world, or anybody interested in Northeast. This is one of the starting point roadmap for that. This is in another format, because that is in PDF format. This one. There are such so many things which we have been discussing yesterday, and all these are discussed. This much only. I would like to stop. This will be continued with the Northeast oriented link, theory in practice action by the National Museum people, education, and this one. So I will organize. So thank you very much for patiently listening to one. This is based on my passionate practical experience, based on National Museum Institute work. I did it, and National Museum Natural History spread out all over India, and later Akademi Institution of Intangible Heritage in Kerala, and now continued in a freelance mode in India. Access audience, I told you, that's the latest one. This is going on and going on. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir, for that very inspiring presentation. And I think the students had learned a lot today. We would like to felicitate Dr. B Venugopal. And to do the honors, may I request on stage Ms. Rige Shiba, Museum Education Officer, National Museum. Long walk for you. Come.
Thanks.
Yeah, so now we will take that much needed coffee break for exactly 15 minutes. After that, I request all of you to gather here. The first year students only will be going for this Northeast Wing tour just now with the officials, as mentioned by Professor Venugopal. The others, unfortunately, because only 30 people are allowed at one time, can visit the Northeast Wing anytime. After listening to this lecture, I'm sure you'd like to do that. But you're welcome to visit the rest of the museum. 15-minute break now, then of course lunch break. And after that, we will from 2 to 4 is the lunch, I think. And then we'll be having this interactive session with the crafts people. So it would be nice if you can all come back then. Thank you so much for joining us for this morning session, and have a nice tea or coffee or whatever you like.